Hello, how you doing? It's Phil Thatch, and I've decided to go live again. I know it's been only 8 days since I went live last time, but Heather is in class once again tonight, and so I thought I would hang out with you guys. And I really don't have too much to talk about, so I'm counting on you guys coming in and joining me, and I just realized that I have not hooked up my microphone. So let me just interrupt this live stream already in progress and hook up my external microphone that I completely forgot to do. There we go. That should be a little better audio maybe. Can't believe after all the setting up I did, I forgot to hook up the microphone, but I did. So let's see. I do have two cameras working tonight. The one up here is the Nikon Z6, same camera I used last week, and the one down here is the Nikon Z50. So it's an all Nikon live stream with a bunch of Canon cameras on the screen. Peter says low audio. Hopefully that has been taken care of now that I've switched my microphone. I'm showing pretty good audio on my screen here. It's showing into the green and into the yellow. I might scoot this mic a little closer and see if that helps at all. But anybody doing anything? Anybody want to talk about photography or anything like that? That's what I want to do while Heather's in class. Audio now fine. Okay, thanks Peter. That is great to know. I'm on the water these days. I've been off the beer for next month will be a year. But all my glasses are still beer glasses, so it's kind of a fancy glass to drink tap water out of. What have you guys been taking pictures of lately? I did, the most recent thing I photographed was Funko Pops, the little vinyl toys, little vinyl people. I got the R6 Mark II and a couple of Funko Pops, and I made a focus bracket of them, so I'm excited about that coming out. Unfortunately, it won't come out for about a month because I'm so far ahead. Hey Miguel, how's it going? I have to say hi to everybody. Hello Peter, and hello Peter. We got two of that name here, so that's really awesome. And Miguel says, hope you are having a wonderful day today with Heather. Well, I am having a wonderful day with Heather, but she's in the other room where she is in class. All right, now we're on the bottom camera. This is all Nikon Z50 right here with the kit lens that I'm using. And the other camera is the Z6. So much more expensive camera, this one up here. There's Ron, thought on using 85 1.8 for basketball games only. Yeah, that'd be I've used the 85, Ron, for basketball of 1.8. It does pretty good. No zooms. Well, that makes it harder. I found that I would zoom like this when I was using a prime for basketball. If the player was far away, I would hold the camera like this, and when the player got close, I would turn the camera like this so I could fit the whole player top to bottom. And the 51.8 is pretty good for that as well. The 85 and the 50 work pretty good, but I just, for the same reason that I like a zoom better for landscape photography, I like a zoom better for basketball or any sport because you can move it, you don't have to be stuck at that focal length. But if I remember correctly, Ron, you're photographing basketball at a high school, which probably doesn't have very good light. So with that in mind, a prime is an excellent idea for sure. I can't decide which camera I like better. Malcolm Kingswell, hi Phil, have you any experience recording birdsong and wildlife with a shotgun mic to add a sound layer to your videos? I haven't done that too much. I do have, well, it's this mic that we're using right now. It's technically a shotgun mic, but it doesn't, it's one direction, but it is, it doesn't pick up sound from very far away. Usually I'm so far away from the bird that I'm photographing that you can't hear it. So that's kind of tricky. Now, occasionally, while we're putting videos together, when I'm showing the photographs of birds and talking about them, sometimes I'll go into the Merlin app, and I'll show you what I'm talking about right now. I'll go into the Merlin app and just play the sound of the bird that's on the screen. Let's see. Let me pull up one that really makes a lot of noise. So I might have a picture of a Carolina wren on the screen, and while I'm showing the picture and talking about what it was like to make it, I'll have Carolina wren sounds playing. That's probably too loud, and sometimes that's pretty interesting. And every time I've done it, I've liked that, but for some reason I get too lazy to do it every single time. So maybe I should do that more often. Now let's catch up on the comments. Every time I look down at my 70 to 200, it was at 85. Okay, well that's a pretty good sign. Maybe go through your pictures as well and see what most of the ones that you actually see, what focal length most of the ones that you actually liked were at. And if 85 is the winner of that as well, then go with an 85, but you could probably be cheaper going with a 50. Let's see, Miguel, I'll be taking pictures of red-tailed hawks, awesome. Oh, you've been taking pictures of red-tailed hawks, American coot, hooded merganser, awesome, my favorite duck, Carolina wren, and today a bald eagle immature with many pine warblers, awesome. You know, I wonder when, and Ron may know the answer to this, I wonder when we'll start seeing migratory warblers here in my area, which is, well, Ron's a little northwest of me, but not far. But I'm in kind of northeast Chattanooga, and Ron is he's also in Tennessee somewhere. Anyway, hopefully we'll be seeing them soon, because I've been doing a lot of landscape photography lately. Although on the channel, what's going on the channel right now is Disney, but I think I have three waterfall videos in the pipeline. Oh, Ron says Aprilish, so we got a ways to go. And you know, I get in moods with photography. I'll get in a mood to do birds, and I'll end up with 3 or 4 bird videos in a row, and then I'll get in a mood to do waterfalls, and I'll do 3 or 4 waterfall videos in a row. And sometimes I think that hurts the channel, because people are like, oh, well, here comes another bird video, here comes another waterfall video, and they're less likely to watch it. I think if I mixed it up more, that might be better. But I go shoot what I go shoot. When I'm in the mood to go shoot that day is what I go photograph. Tomorrow, it's supposed to rain all day long, and tomorrow evening, Heather and I both are going to UTC to photograph girls basketball, Chattanooga versus Furman, which is another university in their conference. And we're going to have the Nikon versus Canon shootout. I'm going to take my D500 and the 24-70 f2.8, and she's carrying her R7, and she's going to use my RF 24-70 2.8. And it, you know, it's not going to be this camera versus that camera, and it's certainly not going to be Heather versus Phil. But everybody who watches the videos always says that it's when we shoot 2 different brands that it's some sort of a shootout. So we're just going to pretend like it is and see how that goes. Let's see. Oh, here we go. More bird videos, the better. It's great to see wildlife and your approach to photographing video. Yeah, I think, thank you, Malcolm. I think my most popular videos are probably bird videos. And like right now, like I say, I'm in the middle of the Disney videos. But the next video, the one that came out today, was Epcot, which I liked the photography in it. I don't know if many people did, but I really liked it. And then the next one is Magic Kingdom, which is mostly fireworks. And the one after that is Animal Kingdom, and it is birds, 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 just a ton of birds. So, and unusual birds, not birds that you'll see in any of my other videos. And of course, they're captive birds, but they're birds that can fly. They're in a, they have two of these big bird aviaries that are they're in a netted in, but they're really, really big, and these birds can fly all around and build nests and breed and just do all sorts of stuff. And so I really enjoy the Animal Kingdom theme park for photography as much as for, you know, Disney type stuff. It has a great roller coaster too, but so that's what's been going on with that. And also appreciate the Disney videos. Oh, thank you. Good. See, some people like them. They don't get as many views as my other videos. Heading to Disney in March and worried about taking my setup with the crowds and weather. What did you do with your setup when you were on rides? Well, I use this. This is a Low Pro Runner 200 AW. It's a very, look how it matches my paint scheme. You would think that dark green might be my favorite color. This bag is so small that I can just, like if I get on a roller coaster, I can just set this in front of me where my feet are. So this bag and my camera has been on every roller coaster in Disney. They've got a new roller coaster that opens up in April called Tron Light Cycle Run, and that one you can't carry anything like this on it. But they've got, while you're in line, they've got lockers you can put your stuff in. So so that's what you can do with that one. But I try to carry only gear that will fit in this super small bag. Just for comparison, here's this is a, let me zip this up so I don't throw your lenses all over the place. But this is a 300 size, which is still smaller than a lot of people carry. A lot of people carry 400s and 450s. But I try to carry a 200 size bag. And the cool thing about the Canon RF 100 to 500 is it will fit in this small bag, in this 200 size bag. I can carry that 500 millimeter lens, which is awesome. So anyway, I bought one of these, the first one of these that I bought it in late 2011 or early 2012, and I've used it all the way up until about 6 months ago when the zipper finally started to wear out. But I like the bag so much, even though they were out of production, I went on eBay and KEH, and now I have this one, the retired one, Heather bought one, and I have two of the 300 series of this bag. I love, love, love this little bag. They last a long time, and I just like the way the gear is stored in there. It's a backpack. It's comfortable. A lot of backpacks these days open from the side that's against your back, and that new feature is not part of that bag. So if I set the bag on the ground and the bag gets dirty and I put it on, my back gets dirty. But I don't care. Usually if I'm out waterfalling, I'm not wearing clothes that I'm going to worry about them being dirty. Okay, let's see what else is happening. We are getting many American widgeons, which I've never photographed, so that's awesome. Beautiful small ducks. This is Miguel talking. And ruddy turnstones. Man, you're getting all sorts of cool stuff. I look forward from your channel the most is what I look forward to the most from your channel is bird videos. Awesome. So there's 2 votes for birds. Ed Smiley, thanks for the tips. Hate to let $6,000 to you definitely don't want to be away from it. But the lockers on the Tron ride, you have to use your park ticket or your Magic Band to get into them. So they're pretty good as far as not losing your stuff. Last week when I was live, I kept coughing, so that's why I made sure to get myself a giant glass of not beer but water. And that is tasty. So today, and really there was a video that Heather and I did, and we went to Renaissance Park in Chattanooga. And let me see, yeah. And we took a picture of it was just a mockingbird, but it was on one of these American beautyberry bushes. And these things have these amazing purple berries on them in the middle of fall. They're like September, October, November. They've got these berries on them. And I am going to plant one in my backyard and try to improve my bird studio and get it on the level of Ron Durant's. because his is awesome. But that is a plant that I'm definitely considering planting. And you know, I hear that you can attract warblers and such with this particular plant, which would be really fantastic. But even if I just get pictures of cardinals and mockingbirds on it, I'll still be happy. So there is one thing that I've been looking into today. I think I like the look of camera 2 better. I think. Is that one? Yeah. Let's see. Thanks for the tips. Hey, yeah. Orlando Wetlands video was great. Oh yeah, gosh, that place is so cool. Going to head there when we were down in March. I bet it is amazing in March. My 11-year-old daughter is our bird nerd. That's so cool that your daughter, you know, a lot of times people don't learn that they are a bird nerd until they get in their 40s or 50s. So that's awesome that she already realizes that she loves birds at such a young age. And she likes the videos. That is awesome. Tell her I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, you guys will love that place. And it's huge. We didn't even hardly scratch the surface, although I think the boardwalk is probably the very best part of Orlando Wetlands. And it's, like I say, it's brand new. Apparently Orlando Wetlands has been there for quite some time, but the boardwalk just opened up. See? I need my water. The boardwalk just opened up in November or December of last year, so definitely check that out. And it's not that much further once you get to Orlando Wetlands to go on to Merritt Island and see the Black Point Wildlife Drive, which I don't mention this in the videos, but I guess I should. It's to do the Black Point Wildlife Drive. It's a $10 honor system payment that you get the envelope and you tear off the tab that hangs on your mirror and you put $10 in the envelope and you stick it in a slot. But it's worth it because that thing is fantastic. And one thing that I really like about it is you can do photography from inside your car on that, which Heather, she has some health issues that makes it difficult for her to walk long distances. So we'll both sit on the driver's side of the car. I'll drive the car, and she'll sit in the back seat, but on the driver's side, and we'll go around and find things to photograph, and we can both just hang our cameras out the window. So you can use your car as a blind or a hide, as they call them in some parts of the world, and you can use your car to keep from wearing yourself out. So that's, and you know, we used to go to Vero or Vieira Wetlands, I think it's called. Which is a little bit south. It's not close together like Orlando Wetlands and the Black Point Wildlife Drive is, but it is another east coast of Florida thing. And you could drive through it. Well, they closed it to cars now. You have to walk, and the thing it's quite a long walk. So we're probably not going to be going back there because it's not good for Heather. Ron says the wildlife drive was totally cool. Yeah, it is totally cool. And if you're planning on going down there, Ron, I don't know, Ron, have you been to it before, or are you just talking about from the video? Either way, I definitely recommend everybody check out the Black Point Wildlife Drive on Merritt Island, which is near Titusville, Florida. I have the EF 100-400 L2, which is an awesome lens, and just picked up a second-hand RF 100-500. Whoop whoop. And not really sure if I should have done that, as it's a bit expensive for what seems little gain. Just wondered your thoughts. Well, I don't have a 100-400, but so I can't really compare the two. I have a 100-400. I have the RF 100-400, but you're talking about the EF 100-400 L2, which is a dynamite lens from everything I've read and heard and seen pictures from. But gosh, that extra 100 millimeters is handy, I would think. And then of course it's an extra 160 millimeters on an R7. So I think, I don't know how much you paid for it, but I paid a lot for mine, and I'm really happy with the purchase. But the thing about it is, now you can sell, you can sell your 100-400, so you know, you won't have to lose all your money that you spent. Let's see. How does the R7 with the 100-500 compare with the R5 and a 1.4 teleconverter? Well, I don't have an R5, so I can't say. But I have used I haven't put the 100-500 and my 1.4 teleconverter on my new R6 II yet. But I will say that the 100-500, I've done it on my R6 Mark I before I sold it. But I think the 100-500 with no teleconverter on the R7 blows away the R6, at least, with the 100-500 and a teleconverter. But like I say, I don't have an R5. I don't tend to buy cameras that are that expensive. I like to get, cameras that are around $1,500 to $2,500 is what I like to work with. So it works out great that the R6 and the R7 are in that price range. So I've got a good full frame camera that it's not high resolution that I use for most things with some bird and animal photography. But my bird camera is definitely the R7 is my bird camera for sure. Let's see, Ron says he has not been to Black Point Wildlife Drive, but you definitely should go. I think Ron said something about perhaps going there next time he goes to Florida. Okay, Ed Spine says, thanks. Come on up to Pennsylvania in the spring. Lots of great warblers here. I wish I could, and maybe one day I'll be able to in 4 or 5 years when I possibly retire. But right now, that's not an option for me. But maybe at some point it will be, sometime down the road. What are there any other plants that you guys think I should plant in the yard? I know there's a plant called a cardinal climber, I think, that is good for let's see if I can put that on the screen here that I'm pulling up. Heather's parents have, well, that's not it though. It's similar to it. Heather's parents have these, or a plant that's really similar to this. It's not a perennial, but it seeds so much that seeds might come up next year if you had them last year. But hummingbirds love that thing. Hummingbirds, I absolutely love it, and it's just a beautiful plant. I'm thinking about planting, and it'll climb, obviously with the name. I'm thinking about planting some in a pot on the back porch and letting them climb around on the railing and make pictures of hummingbirds from our blind on those. So that's another plant I'm considering. That and the American Beautyberry. And there's the American Beautyberry is obviously the one that's from around here, but there's also a Japanese one, but I don't want that one. Oh, can you hear the dirt bike going up the road? Either that or somebody's driving a chainsaw up the road. So there's another plant. What else you guys been doing? You guys doing, does anybody besides me and Ron do landscape photography, or are we the only ones here that like to make photos of waterfalls? Got lots of waterfalls coming. Lots. Sometimes I call Ron Mr. Waterfall. That's what his contact in my phone says. Ron Durant, Mr. Waterfall. We have a local bird organization that has a native plant sale every spring. Oh, that is super cool. That is awesome. Might want to see if you have one local. That's a great idea. That is a fantastic idea. Ron says, fresh cut flowers in a clear vase will do it for hummingbirds. That's interesting. That is real interesting. Ron's laughing at me calling him Mr. Waterfall. But Ron, one of these days, if he keeps listening to me give him advice, he's going to open up his own business, and he's going to be a guide taking photographers to all the waterfalls in our area, because he knows his way to every one of them, knows the trails, knows how to read the trails, what time to get there. And I think he's going to become a millionaire waterfall guide sometime in the near future. Let's see what Miguel says. If someone wants to photograph awesome bald eagles in Osprey, I will recommend Brownie Wise Park. They may many man-made nests for eagles. I saw more than 10 at the same time. Wow, that is awesome. And it's in Kissimmee. How cool is that? Someplace else to go. I'm going to end up going to Disney World and not going to Disney World. I'm just going to do bird photography the whole time, which would be kind of fine with me. I don't know if the rest of the family would be okay with that. I like to get into the landscape stuff, maybe looking at the 15 to 35 2.8. I think that lens is fantastic. But I didn't buy it. I bought the 14 to 35 f4 because you never use 2.8 when you're doing a waterfall. You usually use f8 or f11, maybe even f16, but pretty rarely 2.8. Although if you do have other uses for an ultra wide that goes all the way to 2.8, like maybe astrophotography or live music photography, you know, in a low light environment. Another thing I like about the let's see if I can find it. It's in one of these bags. Another thing I like about the 14 to 35 is it uses 77 millimeter filters, which you would think a 14 millimeter lens would need 82 like that 15 to 35 does, but it uses 77 millimeter filters, which is the same size as my other landscape photography lens, which is the 24 to 105 f4, and it's the same size as the 100 to 500. So you could take this lens and the 24 to 105 and the 100 to 500, which will all fit in the little bag at the same time, and they all use the same 77 millimeter filters. So my vote is for the 14, unless you really need 2.8 for some reason. You think my chair makes enough noise? Here's the 24 to 105 and the 14 to 35 f4s. Look how close they are in size. The lens hood is much bigger on the 24 to 105, and it's about 2 millimeters taller if you're sitting them down, but they are almost exactly the same size. Both have the same size filter. Both are small and light compared to other lenses of this quality. Oh goodness. More water. All this talking is rough on my voice. Excuse me. I'm getting to where I have so much stuff on the desk. I'm probably going to end up spilling my water on it. Good thing it's weather sealed. Let's see here. I was going to pick up the 35 1.8, but it just went off sale. So thinking of getting rid of the 16 and going with the 15 to 35. Do you have, Ed, you have the 16 2.8, I'm guessing? My friend Tim Childers just bought that 16 2.8 and he really likes it. He also has the 15 to 35. Phil, what is the real world battery experience on the R7 given that you can't add a grip? It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Some people have complained excuse me, that it has a that the EVF is a little bit lower resolution than some cameras, and that the rear screen is not super high resolution. Well, guess what? Both of those things help battery life, and it has the same battery. It uses the same battery as the R5 and the R6 Mark II. So the battery life on it is really good. And that reminds me, last week when we were live, somebody, I think it might have been Hassan, asked me what I thought of the R8. And at that time, it was about 3 hours before the R8 was announced. And all the rumors showed the R8 not having an EVF, which to me, that's a killer. I shoot like this, you know. Unless I'm doing landscape photography, I shoot like this. But turns out it has an EVF. So with that in mind, I think it's a pretty cool camera. The things it doesn't have It only has one card slot, no problem. That doesn't bother me at all. It has a small battery, that bothers me, and it has no image stabilization. So those two things bother me. But if you wanted to buy that camera as a landscape photography camera or a video camera, just as long as you don't mind carrying a bunch of extra batteries, because it doesn't have the big battery like the R5 and the R6 and the R7 have. It has a little battery, but you know it has it's 40 frames per second electronic shutter for $1,500, full frame camera. It's hard to argue with that. So I like that camera a lot more than I thought I was going to like it. I'm still not going to buy it, obviously, because I have the R6, which has the R6 Mark II, which has the same sensor and has the big battery and has a better EVF and has image stabilization. So I don't need that camera. But if somebody was wanting to get their first full frame camera, that would be a great one. That would be a really great camera. Okay, I've babbled on about the R8 so long, I'm getting behind on my comments. Clean my glasses. I'm sitting further back. Last week I sat closer up, and this week I'm actually at my desk. So a little different setup than last week. Ed says yes, he has the 16 2.8. Okay, cool. Thanks for your thoughts on the RF 100 500 Phil. I recently picked up the R7 mainly due to yourself and Heather's videos. Just loving this camera after upgrading from the 90D. That's awesome. I'm so glad that you're enjoying it. There was one viewer who bought an R7 upon mine and Heather's recommendation, and he hated it for a long time. And there was some setting he had wrong, which I wasn't able to, I attempted to help him several times, but I never was able to help him. But he reset the camera, and all of a sudden it's working great. So that's wonderful. And I'm glad you're enjoying yours too. Phil, do you use, this is Miguel, do you use any ground pods for your photography? I'm not sure what a ground pod is. What is a ground pod? I feel dumb. I don't know what a ground pod is. I wonder if that's something to put your tripod down low. Oh, yes, that's exactly what it is. Well, the pond that I go to do bird photography, it has a railing that you can't, so you have to be at least up as high as the railing. So with that in mind, I don't use a ground pod. But I think the idea of a ground pod, you know, which is, well, let me switch screens. Something like this is what Miguel's talking about. This thing sits on the ground. It looks like a skillet, but that's you can put your ball head or your gimbal or whatever kind of head you use on that, and then you use it to do wildlife photography from really, really low. And I think it's a great idea. I just don't have a location that I go to where I would use it. I definitely wouldn't want to lay down on the ground in Florida with gators at head level. That doesn't seem too smart when I go down there. And like I say, the pond over on Curtain Pole Road that I love to go to, you can't get down that low. You can climb over the fence, but then you're basically in the water, and you wouldn't be able to lay out. So no, but I think they're a great idea. Let's see, Ed, my other hobby is barbecue. That's awesome. And I'm taking a barbecue photography class in Texas at the end of March. Pretty excited about that. That's really cool. A friend of mine, Tim Childers, he likes to do, and you should check out both his and Ron Durant, Ron Durant, I always pronounce his name wrong, who's in here. Both of them have YouTube channels to check out. He does some food photography and is pretty good at it. So that's pretty cool. He's got a video about taking a picture of a ribeye, I think. I have the R5 and R6 and picked up the R7. That's cool. Now you just need the 8 and go ahead and get the 10. Going to sell the R6. My daughter has been using the R6 with the 800 f11 with a lot of success. Yeah, I think that's a good combination. I think, you know, because the R5 is so much more resolution, you could get away with using the 100 to 500 on it for small birds. But when I use my R6, I like to get that 800 f11 out. It makes this relatively low resolution full frame camera a pretty good choice for small bird photography. That's why I picked up the R7 too. You should get a commission. Yes, that would be nice. I've actually been accused of working for Canon, but I do not. But I wouldn't mind working for Canon. So as Photo Tripper would say, Canon, if you're watching, get in touch. Let's see. Ed says, check out Dwayne Patton. Yeah, I picked up one. I picked up one on Amazon Warehouse cheaper. Yeah, Dwayne is the first place I ever saw somebody using a ground pod, which I didn't even know the name of it until I learned it from Miguel. But yeah, he's a really good photographer. I enjoy his videos quite a bit. Very, very thorough. And I like when he presents his pictures, he'll show the raw file, and then he'll show the way he edited it, and then he'll drop that on top of the raw file. So you can see his crop and his straighten and his edit. It's really cool. I wish I knew how to do that so I could copy him. Let's see what Steve says. Have the R5 and the R6 Mark II, and thinking to use the R5 and trade the R6 Mark II for the R8 for everyday photos and videos, and maybe a travel camera since it's smaller. I don't know, man. I think if you were to sell your R6 Mark II, you might not even, you know what I mean? I mean, if you sold it not as a trade-in, but sold it to an individual, you might get pretty close to what you paid for. But I bet if you traded in, it would be an even trade for an R8. And with that in mind, I would definitely keep the R6 Mark II, because better battery, IBIS, 2 card slots, which who cares? Some people do. But if you already got an R6 Mark II, I don't think I'd sell it for an R8 myself. Whatever works best for you, but that's my opinion. Maybe a travel camera since it's smaller. Okay, since it's smaller, I see where you're going. I didn't finish your comment before I started answering. The smaller part, I don't know how. I mean, it's a little smaller. It'd be interesting to set them side by side, which obviously I've never done because I don't own one. But I don't know if it's small enough to make that much of a difference for what you lose, for what you give up, especially the bigger battery. Because while I recommend bringing a second battery with the R6 Mark II, with the small batteries that R8 has, I would recommend bringing 2 extra batteries with that thing if you're going to shoot all day. Okay. I love the RP when I took it to Iceland and Europe, which is the same size body. So, hey, buddy, it sounds like you know what you're talking about. Maybe you should do that. But if it was me, I would still keep the R6 Mark II. Yes, it's for you to go. Yeah, for low on the ground. Powell says, Phil, do you follow any photography YouTube channels? If yes, which one would you recommend? Well, I would recommend mine. I would recommend David Sailors, who goes by the Georgia Photographer. I would recommend Tim Childers, who I always 2 guys I hang out with all the time, and I pronounce their last name wrong regularly. Tim Childers. Ron Durant's channel is cool. Lots of interesting stuff on there. He just did a big thing about his backyard bird studio that was cool. Now, all these are people with, less than 10,000 subscribers that I'm recommending to you now. Did I miss anybody? I like the 100 guy who lives in Northern Ireland. He does interesting street photography. I like Peter Virage. He does really cool macro photography. But as far as big channels go, as far as product reviews, I like DP Review. I like Jordan and Chris, I think is their names. Chris Nichols and Jordan Drake. I like their channel. I like, I always watch Thomas Heaton's video every Wednesday when it comes out. I like Dwade's channel. I like Steve, I think it's Steve Smith, who's mostly a Nikon guy, but he does other stuff. He's a wildlife guy. Oh, no, Steve Perry is who I was talking about, but I also like Steve Smith. I think Steve Smith's the best osprey photographer in the world. So there's a bunch. I watch a lot of YouTube channels, but I recommend mine. Let's see, what's next? The ground pods are really expensive for what they are. Yeah, I agree. I think you may be able to kind of make your own out of a skillet and a couple of bolts. Have a good evening, folks. Got to run. Okay, thanks for stopping by, Ron, and hope you have a great evening. Yep, love how Dwayne shows the raw file and drop in the edited photo on top. Yeah, I think that is so cool the way he does that. Really, really cool. I would like to see a tutorial video for light trails photography in the city at night if you can, since you also do street photography. You know what? I love doing light trail photography. And so that might be something that I could do. If you look in my landscape and cityscape playlist, there's not many very recently, but there's lots of light trail videos sprinkled in that playlist. So if you get bored someday and you want to watch an older video, there's already some out there. But I'm due to make another one. Let's see, what's your next wish lens from Canon? Well, I'm kind of in a good spot, really. I don't really need anything. As far as lenses that are already made, I would love to have a 28-70 f2, but I don't think I would use it enough to justify the price. Like this lens, it actually costs more than the 100-500 by about $300, but I use this lens all the time. All the time I use this lens. So I definitely, even though it's crazy expensive, I'm definitely getting my money's worth out of it. But that 28-70, I would use it, but I wouldn't use it enough to make me feel like, man, I sure am glad I bought that. That was money well spent. I think it's, anyway, I really like the idea of that 135 f1.8 that they just came out with, that lens, and the 85 1.2 and the 50 1.2. I would love to have all three of those, but I don't do enough portrait type work to justify that money, which is kind of the same reason why the 28-70. Although the 28-70, I would use it for basketball. That would be an awesome basketball lens. Get my shutter speed up a little bit without raising my ISO. That would be really cool. But you know, I've done basketball. It's handy that it's right here in my hand. I've done basketball with this f4 lens. The 24-105 f4 has been working great for basketball photography. So I don't really need that $3,100 28-70 f2. I sure would like to have it though. Now, as far as wish list lenses, if what you mean is what I would like for them to make, I would like for them to make a 200-600. I would like for it to be a non-L lens. You know, like here I go back to the bag, grabbing another lens to put on the desk. But this is the 100-400, which is a non-L lens. But guess what? It's tack sharp. And if you know, this is I think this is 5.6 to 8 in terms of aperture. So if they could make a 200-600 that's f5.6 to f8 and sell it for $1,000, man, they'd sell 1 million of them things. I know Heather and I would get one for sure, just because even though the 100-500 is probably a little bit higher quality, that extra 100 millimeters would be awesome, especially on an R7. Hey Siri, what's 600 times 1.6? She's not talking to me. She must be mad at me about something. I think it's 900. What is 600 times 1.6?
It's 960.
960. That'd be a pretty sweet lens at f8. So, yeah, that's my wish list lens. And, you know, just give me another telephoto lens and I'm just a happy man. But I would like to have the 28-70, the 50, the 85, and the 135 primes. Those would be cool. And then One day I'm going to figure out how to do astrophotography, and if I do, then I would need a really good 24 or maybe 20 millimeter f1.8 or 1.4 or something like that, maybe even 1.2. But who knows? All right, that was an excellent question. Hi, I have a tripod where the legs can flip up and become completely horizontal. Maybe a good alternative to a ground pod. Yeah, that's an excellent idea. A lot of times that the bowlness or skilletness of the ground. Oh, and this is Linnea. Thanks for joining. I think that's your first chat. So thanks for joining. Good to see you. The one thing that would be better about that pod thing is a lot of times I would think when you're using that, you'd be right at the edge of water, and so then your tripod would be down in the gook, which I don't mind the feet of my tripod being down in the gook, but I don't think I would want the that part with the legs splayed out. I wouldn't want this part in the gook. So with that in mind, I would think a ground pod would be a better thing. But you could definitely accomplish a similar thing that way for sure. James Popsy has a great channel. I'll have to look him up. And there's Bill. Hey Bill, thanks for joining the chat. Canon has refurbs on the 28 to 70 f2 for $27.89. You know what? If I'm going to spend $27.89, I think I would go ahead and spend $3,099 and get a brand new one. That way I'm not buying somebody else's trouble. Although I will tell you, I have a Nikon D500 and I had it for almost a year. And maybe even a little bit more than a year, I think. And the shutter locked up on it. And I sent it off to Nikon and they fixed it. And now I've had that thing for about 5 years after that and have worn that thing out and it still works great. So maybe I shouldn't be scared of refurbs because my refurbished, I didn't buy it refurbished, but it is factory refurbished. Works great. Let's see what else we got. Using the RF 100 to 400 for now. Just sold my Sony 200 to 600 and I cannot find locally used RF 100 to 500. Yeah, that's because the 100 to 500 is so great nobody gets rid of it. That's just a theory. But gosh, it is a great lens. I love that thing. And really, you know what? Really, as much as I say I sure would love to have a 200 to 600, I don't really need it. Because this thing with its 1.6 crop, you got 800 millimeters full frame equivalent right here on the R7. So, I mean, that's really enough in most situations. If you need more than that, then maybe you should figure out a way to get closer to the birds, which that's a cop-out. Sometimes you can't get closer to the birds. But, man, I love that lens. I really, really love that lens. I wonder, let's see. I'm going to, while there's no comments, I'm going to see if MPB has one. Because you said locally, I don't know if you're in an area that where you can't use MPB or any of the other used sites. All right, so this is the MPB, which is where I bought my my pre-owned 14 to 35. But they have an excellent for $22.79, and then I bought my 14 to 35. The condition on it was like new, and man, it was like new. I hate that it didn't come with the box because I love to have the box that the lens came in, but other than that, that thing is like new. But I think this excellent condition one for $22.79 might not be a bad buy at all. And then the like new one, that's at $26.29. I think I'd go ahead and buy a new one because it's not that much of a savings. But that's two right there at MPB on their USA site. Let's see what else we got. Canon Reverb has some warranty, same warranty as new, and you can add care pack. Okay, I get what I'm picking up what you're putting down. That's a good idea. I'm in Canada, so U.S. dollars is out too expensive with the currency exchange. I got you. I wonder if they have a. I wonder if are there any used sites, used gear sites in Canada? I don't know. What part of Canada are you in, Steve? Heather and I are going to Banff, which I may not even be pronouncing that correctly. We're going to Banff in September of 2024, and we are excited about it. Definitely going to do some landscape photography, but we're going to take the. Oh, hey, Stephen. How you doing? We had a lot of fun at Epcot that day. It was stressful because of the proposal, because I mean, really everybody knew, but it was kind of also a surprise too. She didn't know that it was going to happen at that particular day, and then she could kind of tell it was coming, and she was uncomfortable because there was too many people around. So if you want to ask somebody to marry you in a theme park and not have people around, that's tricky. And then when we finally found a place that everybody seemed comfortable, it was freaking dark, so it was hard. And just the same, my regular f11 ISO 100 3-stop neutral density filter, 30-second exposure fireworks photos. There will be more of that in the Magic Kingdom video that comes out Saturday. Pictures turned out great. The cell phone lighting looked good. Yeah. I was using my cell phone, Heather's cell phone, and I can't remember if it was Ian's cell phone or my daughter Casey's cell phone, but we were doing our best to get them lit for that picture. Pretty fun. Let's see if they have a 28 to 70. At MPB, just to tempt me. So they have one. Oh no, they have 5. It says 29.29. So you save. It's their U.S. dollar is 3,099. So you're not saving much for a like new one. Excellent. You go down to 27.89. Oh, and here's an excellent for even less. I wonder why that one's cheaper than the other excellent. You would think all the excellents would be the same price. It must be missing something. And that monitor is about 4 feet away, so I can't read that. But anyway, I could get one for only $25.09. That is too much. Too much. Let's see how much they got the 85 1.2 going for. I can't remember how much these are. I think they're 27 or 28. Like new for 23. That's a bargain. Why is this like new 23 and this one 22.59? Is there a difference? If there's not, then oh, maybe it's because this one's missing the lens hood. Front lens cap, rear lens cap. Yeah, it doesn't have the lens hood, so that's why. But anyway, you can get lost on these websites. Oh, I think there's new comments. Would love to get a hold of a 600 f4 for cheap. Yeah, me too. But you know, I had a 500 f4 Nikon for years, and man, after you get used to carrying a big old monster like that, it's just a joy walking around with this thing. It just is. Even an EF, yeah. I've actually looked on eBay in some places at 600 f4s and 400 2.8s and 300 2.8s EF. Yeah, I think the 500 f4 usually goes the cheapest of those three of the 600 f4, the 500 f4, and the 400 2.8. You can usually get the 500 f4 the cheapest. And the crazy thing is, I don't even make that one anymore. I have a 50 to 500, a 150 to 600, and a 70 to 200. Hello, 508 Fluff on a 1.6 crop factor. So you're ready to go get some shots. I wonder who makes the 50 to 500. I bet that's a Sigma, if I had to guess. We went to Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island last summer. Great time with great birds. Did a puffin cruise. Oh man, that's a that's a bucket list item. Heather bought a book for me to write bucket list stuff down on, and that's one I definitely need to write down. Is to see puffins somewhere. That's awesome. Stephen asked if I like MPB over KEH, and I think I probably do. But as far as selling my gear, I like Used Photo Pro, which is a division of Robert's Camera. They offered me $30 more for the last lens I sold than MPB did, and I didn't even know about MPB the first time I sold gear, and I was talking to KEH, and Used Photo Pro offered more than KEH also. So for selling, um, I definitely like Robert's Camera / Used Photo Pro the best. And for buying, I guess I like whoever has the best lens at the best price in the best condition. But my one experience with MPB was a good one. I'm happy with that lens. I'm happy with the way it was packaged. I'm happy with um, the price. Let's see. Nice to see you streaming again. How goes it, Phil? Hello. Thanks for joining. It's going pretty good. Although I've got a little problem with my throat that's developing, and the more I talk, it's not helping it. But otherwise, things are going real good. Thank you. 508 Fluffs says prefer MPV over KEH. I think I'm with you. I have a good old manual focus 500 f4 lens that I picked up for $1,000. It does double as dumbbells. I can understand that for sure. Mine was a 500 f4 GVR, which they made one more version of it before they stopped making 500 f4s, and I bought it. Gray market from B&H. They used to sell gray market stuff, and it was $7,999. It would have been $84.99 to get the USA one. And it's a struggle to get warranty work done on that lens, but knock on wood, I didn't have a single problem with that lens the whole time I owned it, and then I sold it when I started shooting Canon. I have a Sigma 300 2.8, and it is a nice lens. Been using it more. Interesting. I guess it must be an EF 300 2.8 that you're adapting, maybe. Correct, it is a Sigma. That 508 Fluff must be talking about the 50 to 500. KEH will negotiate. Interesting. I rejected their first offer, and they sent me a better price. Nice. That's I did not know that. That's cool. What do you think would be better, R8 versus R7 for general use, i.e. landscape, wildlife, macro? Pretty disappointed about the low first curtain shot. Well, once you put wildlife in, then I automatically go to the R7. As a matter of fact, for wildlife, I like the R7 better than the R6 Mark II. Landscape photography, I think that would be a fine camera. Especially, I've been using the focus bracketing feature of my R6 Mark II lately, and I just love that feature. It's really, really cool, especially if you're using these two lenses right here, the 14 to 35 and the 24 to 105, which have basically no focus breathing. So you can do the in-camera multi-shot, and they stack pretty well. They usually don't mess up. So. And I don't know. That's something I don't know the answer of. This question I'm about to ask. I don't know if the R8 has the focus bracketing feature like the R7 and the R6 Mark II have. If it did, that'd be a really cool camera to get, especially if you bought it with a 24-105 or a 14-35. But for wildlife, I would get the R7 all day long and not look back. Thank you, Ed. Thank you. That is very kind of you. Let's see here. What do you think would be better, R8 or R6? A few years ago, I picked up the Sigma 300 2.8 gimbal and Gitso tripod for $900. Wow, that is quite a deal. That's quite a deal no matter what. I've never seen a Sigma 300 2.8. Let's Google it. Or let's MPB it. So Ed, you still use that thing? There it is. Oh, here's one. It's a Nikon fit, but we can still get a look at it. $1,000. So you definitely got a steal when you got the gimbal and a tripod and the lens for $900. $1,000. Like new, cosmetic condition. See details. Looks pretty cool. You know, they make Sigma makes a 120 to 300 2.8 zoom. They make it for Nikon F and Canon EF, and it's an awesome lens. My friend Ray shoots with that lens. He does soccer with that lens. I wish, there we go. To answer the question, what lens would I wish for? Maybe I would wish for a 120 to 300 2.8 from Canon. Nikon has one that they released an F-mount version of way after the DSLR was kind of over with. They should have made a Z-mount version of it, but they released an F-mount. That would be an awesome lens. What else you guys got going? What else is happening? I think I can hang out a little bit longer if you guys have more stuff to talk about. I still have this much water left to sip. Let's see. Oh, there are more comments. I couldn't see them. Let's see. I think it has focus bracketing. Okay, so we're thinking that the R8 does have focus bracketing. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. It works well. Also have the 2x converter with it. That's awesome. It's heavy as hell. I imagine it would be. I think it's heavier than the R5 and the 100 to 500 combined. I would be willing to bet that that's true. Look, Phil Thatch says, hi, everyone. And Steven Stewart says the Nikon 120 to 300 F-mount is $9,000. Yeah, that's the problem with that lens. And, you know, if Canon were to make one, I'm sure it would be that expensive as well. But man, what a fantastic focal length for sports, outdoor sports, soccer, football. Marco said, just came by to say hi, don't even know who you are. Literally just stumbled upon this live. Well, thanks for stopping in. Maybe subscribe and hit the bell, and you can watch some of my future videos. I do, this is a photography channel, Marco. Mostly with Canon gear, a lot of Nikon gear from time to time. Oh, that reminds me, everybody, if you don't mind, take a moment and hit the thumbs up button, because that helps me out quite a bit, and it's always appreciated very much when people hit the old thumbs up button. So thanks for stopping in, and hopefully you'll hang around. Let's see what Peter says. Thanks for the live stream, Phil. Getting late here in the United Kingdom. Keep up the great work. Thanks for joining us for this live stream. I really appreciate it. I didn't even plan to do one of these, Although I'm thinking I may start doing live streams while Heather's in this class. She's in a class on Tuesday and Wednesday. So when I get home from work, um, I can either, you know, just sit in the room and be quiet, or I can go live. So I kind of like the idea of doing this live stream, and I think it's probably not good for my Wednesday video to do a live stream on Tuesday or Wednesday. So I may move my Wednesday. You know, I used to do 3 videos a week. I would do one Monday, one Wednesday, and one Saturday at 7:30. But I've dropped back to 2, and I got rid of my Monday video. So I think I might move my Monday video for the next 2 or 3 weeks while she's got these classes. I might move my Monday video my Wednesday video, excuse me, to Monday, and then I'll do a live stream on either Tuesday night or Wednesday night. I don't know. Who knows? By next week, I may be tired of doing live streams for a little while. I did a live stream once a month, or maybe it was every 2 weeks for quite some time. And then I quit doing live streams for a long time. But now I've done 2 in 8 days. So I don't know. It's whatever mood strikes me. And really it's how much time I have, how much free time I have. Because usually if I have some free time, I'm out putting a video together. But right now, I don't want to be out and about while Heather's home, even if I can't hang out with her. Let's see. Any other Florida tips? Going to go from Orlando to Tallahassee, then back to Orlando, doing a manatee stop in there as well. Oh, that's cool. I don't think I have any more Florida tips other than Black Point Wildlife Drive, Orlando Wetlands. Oh, I tell you one, Gatorland. There is, whoops. So that tells you that a Z50 battery doesn't last as long as a Z6 battery. The Z50 died, and I put new batteries in both the Z6, which is the video now, and the Z50, which was the one that I liked the camera angle of better. But when it died, I could just switch to the Z6. There's a place in Orlando or near Orlando, really close, much closer than Orlando Wetlands, called Gatorland, and it's an alligator place, but they have a fantastic birding there. There's a rookery there because the birds like to breed over the alligator pit because there's no raccoons and stuff that can climb up the places where the birds breed. Can't get to them because the raccoons won't go there because the gators will get them. So that one is really cool. And there's another one that Heather and I are going to go to in July, which is really too late in the season. But there's another one in St. Augustine, which is nowhere near Disney World. But I think it might be even better than Gatorland. So both Gatorland in Orlando and this St. Augustine Alligator Farm are places that are you wouldn't think it. And birds aren't really part of the show, you know what I mean? They're just wild birds that live in this alligator environment. So yeah, both of those. Keep up the live streams. Okay, thank you. I think I will. Hi, Phil and Heather. Heather is in the other room, but I will share your hello with her. I love your channel. Thank you so much. I'm looking at the R7 or the R6 Mark II. I'm going to either rent the R7 or the R6 Mark II when I go on a cruise. The R7 is looking good to me. I think if you are not interested in wildlife at all, then maybe the R6 Mark II might be the way to go. And if you are interested in wildlife at all, then the R7 is the way to go. So there's my opinion on that. Miguel says, Phil, what has... Oh, and hello, Lynn. I'm not sure if I've said hello to you yet. I think that might be your first chat. So hello. Thanks for joining us. Phil, what has been your biggest waste of money in photography gear? For me, it was the field monitor that I have. Gosh, that's a good question. Biggest waste of money? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It might be that, I don't know. What have I bought that costs a lot and I don't use it much? Right now, the lens that I use the least of all my Canon lenses is my 24 to 70 f 2.8, but Heather uses it. When we do basketball, she uses it. Um, so, see, and that's another reason why I think maybe the 28 to 70, while I think the lens is awesome, I wouldn't use it that much because I just don't. That's not a anyway. I don't know. That's a great question though, Miguel. That is a great question. Field monitor. I'm not sure what that is. I guess that's maybe a monitor to put on your camera. And yeah, I don't have one of those. I would like to make videos with, you know, a screen recorder, but I just haven't. You're very welcome. I'm shooting birds, wildlife, and landscape. If birds is in the equation, then I recommend the R7, because you can use either this 100 to 500, which now it's not in the frame because I'm shooting with a different camera, or even cheaper. Where did I put the 100 to 400? Or to start out, you can use this 100 to 400 lens, which is awesome. And it's only, I think, on sale for $4.99, or you can get a full price is $6.49. I got mine on sale for $5.99, and then they knocked another $100 off. It's not in the same league as the 100 to 500, but it'll get you started, and it's really inexpensive. As a matter of fact, you can get an R7 and this lens for less than an R6 Mark II. Action cameras for Ed. Yeah, I've got a lot of action cameras, but I use them. I used to use them to vlog with until I got the Pocket 2, which I love that thing. My biggest waste of money was a cheap set of neutral density filters. The color cast was horrible. That's something worth spending. Yeah, I agree. I've got some, I can't remember the brand. And I can't get to them right now because the drawer's on the front side of this desk and I can't get to it right now. But yes, get the Maven filters. They're awesome. For me, Ed says he's not hip enough for action cameras. Me either, buddy. Me either. If I did actual action stuff, I would just get video of me breaking bones. Live streams are appreciated. It's like having a virtual photo buddy. Yeah, thank you. Well, you know, that was my idea because I came home and I didn't have anybody to hang out with tonight because Heather is in her class. And I said, you know what? I've got lots of people I can hang out with. I'll just go live. And suddenly I'm having a great time and I'm hanging out with like-minded people. So very cool. Thank you. Let's see, although photo gear is incredibly expensive, the resale value is great compared with a lot of other stuff that money could potentially buy. You know, before I got into photography, I was into sports cars. You know, and I even got into what's called autocross, which the Sports Car Club of America puts on these events where you take a great big parking lot and you make a course, a road course in the parking lot with cones, and they time you. One car at a time goes through and they time you, and you get like 5 or 6 times, and whoever has the best time wins. And that's expensive because, you know, in order to go fast, you better get some Hoosier racing slicks to put on your car, and then you drive. Can you imagine driving all the way from, you know, like a 2.5, 3 hour drive in a 2-seat sports car with 4 extra wheels and tires crammed? I used to put 2 Hoosier slicks on wheels in my front seat, and then I would slide the front seat up, and I would set 1 more Hoosier slick behind the front seat, and another in the trunk, and the trunk wouldn't close. And I would carry a jack and change those tires, change all 4 tires in the parking lot, race all day long, change those 4 tires back, and drive all the way back home. And by the way, those tires cost about $300 a piece, and they last about 5 races. So compared to that, cameras are cheap, way cheap. Um, Man, I used to spend a lot of money on that. And what happened was, these digital cameras came out, and I started taking pictures of the cars in both the car club that I was in and at the races. And I got to where I liked the photography more than the racing, and so here I am. That's how that goes. Let's see. No photo, not photo related, but Disney dining recommendation. Oh man. I tell you one. This one is photo related, and it's Disney dining related. Go to while you're at Animal Kingdom. There's a restaurant called Flame Tree Barbecue, and there's the way Animal Kingdom is set up. It has an island in the middle with obviously water all the way around it, and you go across a bridge to go to Asia, and you go across a bridge to go to Africa, and you go across a bridge to go to Pandora. Well, Flame Tree Barbecue is on the island. It's called Discovery Island, and while you're there, order the barbecue macaroni and cheese. It is fantastic, absolutely delicious. And here's where the photography part comes in. The dining area for Flame Tree Barbecue is huge. It has several areas that have 10 or 12 tables. And the further away you walk from the restaurant, pretty soon you'll go down and you'll see this man-made square pond. And at that man-made square pond, there's usually wild birds. And you'll see these in my Animal Kingdom video that I believe comes out a week from today. Or I may change it to this coming Monday, so I can do live streams a week from today. But anyway, I've made photographs of tricolored heron there. I've made photographs of white ibis there, great egret there. And these birds are interested in picking up your French fries that you might drop. So they'll get really close to you. I got some beautiful photographs using the 70-200 on the R7. So Flame Tree Barbecue, now that's not a super expensive place, but it's really good. As far as, one more Animal Kingdom thing. There's a restaurant in the Pandora area called Satuli Canteen. And I really don't like their food, but they have a dessert, which I can't think of what it's called, but it's a little blue and purple looking thing, and it's absolutely delicious. I should be able to do better describing that. Let's see if I can Googleize this thing. Bingo. That's it right there. The blueberry cheesecake with passion fruit. That is fantastic. So what we do is we eat at Flame Tree Barbecue on Discovery Island, and then we walk down to Pandora and we go into that restaurant, Satuli Canteen, and get just that dessert because it's fantastic. Now, if you want expensive restaurant recommendations, a lot of them are really good. I like the food at, well, now I'm drawing a blank. Because some of them are so hit or miss. Like I could recommend the food at the Be Our Guest restaurant at Magic Kingdom, but sometimes it's as good as anything you've ever eaten. Sometimes it's 2 thumbs down. Liberty Tree Tavern, I think is what it's called at Magic Kingdom. I think it's Liberty Tree Tavern. Liberty Tree Tavern at Magic Kingdom. You have to get a reservation to eat here. But that's not the food I was thinking of. So let me Googleize that again. It's like a Thanksgiving dinner is what they serve. And it's really, really good. Really good. And they serve beer there too, which, of course, I don't drink beer anymore. But when I did, it was really handy because there's only like 4 places you can get a beer at Magic Kingdom. The rest of the Disney parks, you can get a beer anywhere on the side of a. You can be walking down the road and there's a cart. Oh, you say you have a reservation for Liberty Tree? Well, you're going to love it because it's good. Let's see, where's the actual menu? Anyway, it's hard for me to describe, but just think Thanksgiving dinner and you'll have it. And it's awesome. Really, really good. If you look at, because I used to do way more vlog-oriented Disney videos, and now it's just photography because the channel has gotten to be 100% photography. So if I go too far off the rails with the Disney videos, they really do bad because people are looking for photography. But I think if you look at last year's, if you go down the page here, if you go down, hey look, I'm live. If you go down through here, there is a Disney playlist area somewhere right here. Whoops, do not want to actually play it. I think, where is it? I think this video right here, which lasts 31 minutes, I think some of that was done at Liberty Tree Tavern. See how these are, like these Animal Kingdom videos are just photography. Well, anyway, these videos are much longer, and I had like on the ride footage and blah, 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 but they don't do well. So now my theme park videos are just photography for the most part. But these last year, you can see Liberty Tree Tavern in this video right here, this Magic Kingdom video. So that's all I have to say about that. William Stevenson, Phil, how does the R7 compare with the Nikon D500? There is an awesome question as well. To me, the Nikon D500 is the best APS-C wildlife camera ever made. Some of the Canon folks will probably want to argue with me and say the 7D Mark II, and they may be right, but it blows it away. It's got better autofocus, it's got a faster frame rate, it's higher resolution. But with that in mind, when Heather and I tomorrow night we're going to the UTC girls basketball game against Furman at the UTC Arena, and I'm going to shoot the D500. I like to get my old Nikon gear out from time to time and use it, and I'm going to use it tomorrow night. Heather's going to shoot her R7 and my 24-70 2.8, and I'm going to shoot my D500 and my old Nikon 24-70 2.8. So that'll be fun. And we're going to pretend like it's a competition. It's not going to be a competition, but we're going to pretend like it's a competition. Because like I said earlier in the live stream, everybody always thinks we're competing with each other, but we're not. We're just two people that like to do photography. And especially when we use different gear, people think it's Nikon versus Canon. So we're going to pretend it is Nikon versus Canon, even though it's really just, I wanted to shoot some basketball with the D500. Let's see. Miguel says Disney Springs is awesome for restaurants and nightlife activities, and it's free parking too. You know, we always stay at the resort and we take a bus or a boat to Disney Springs. But we do like Disney Springs quite a bit. There's a bunch of good restaurants there. Sometimes we don't do the most elegant restaurants. Sometimes we do just the fun restaurants. Like we like to go at Disney Springs, we like to go to T-Rex, which they don't have the greatest food in the world, but it sure is fun. The environment is fun in there. Let's see. What I liked about the Nikon APS-C cameras is how the focus points covered the entire viewfinder, unlike their full-frame DSLRs. Yeah, that's a good point. And that's what's really cool about these cameras these days, because pretty much everybody has cameras, whether they're full frame or APS-C, that the focus points go all the way to the edge. So that is really cool. I think though, I think I'm going to use, when I'm shooting basketball, I think I'm going to use oh shoot, now I can't remember the name of it. I'm drawing a blank. But there's a focus mode that has 4 focus points in a square, but it's more like a diamond because the squares turn like this. And I can't think of what it's called, but I think that's what I'm going to use. There's Ray Soldano. The Ray Soldano is here. Let's see. I thought the eye focus would be an advantage on the R7. Yeah, definitely, definitely. But sometimes if you're shooting sports, they're moving so fast. You're like, I have one button for subject, for eye detect and face detect, and the second button on my Canon cameras, I just make a focusing box that's shaped like a human, a vertical square, a vertical rectangle. And because sometimes there's so many players that the camera might pick the wrong face to focus on. So no, it's not D9, Ray. I'm thinking of the other one. Shoot, I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, sometimes face detect, if there's just one player to focus on, then face detect works real good. But if there's 10 out there, a lot of times the camera will pick the wrong face, and it happens so fast. Sometimes it's better to just tell the camera focus in the middle, and then you put the middle on the player that you want. So there's that. Ray says, I want to go to Disney, but I keep spending too much money on cameras and electronics. Well, do both, buddy. Do both. It's a lot of fun down there, man. It's a really good time. We've already made our reservations for January of 24. So we'll be back. Now I'm going to have to get the D500 and see what that's called. So I have the D500 currently with a dead battery, with no battery. So I've got the D500 on the 200 to 500 right now, but that's not what it's going to be doing tomorrow. Have to get my brain back in Nikon mode. Well, I found it, but it doesn't tell me what it's called. Oh well, I can't remember what it's called. But I'm going to try that, and I may do some D9 as well, and some what's the other one called? 25. I think it's 25 on this. I don't think there is a 9. And there's 3D tracking, but it's this other one. Anyway, we'll see. It's going to be fun. I have to remember how to shoot with this camera. I know how to shoot birds with it because that's what I did mostly with it. Oh, and you know what's funny? I was going to show you the lens. I was going to show you the lens that I'm going to use on this camera at the basketball game tomorrow night, but I'm actually using it right now for the video. I've got the Nikon F-mount 24 to 70 2.8 on the Z6. So I can't show you unless I hold a mirror up to the camera. Let's see. I actually shoot dynamic area medium on the Z9 because if I'm shooting towards the sides where the players sit and the player with the ball turns their head enough, it will jump to a player on the bench. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, sometimes these awesome autofocus systems can hinder you more than help you when there's too many subjects out there. But even if you're not using the face detect and eye detect and all that kind of stuff, the great autofocus systems still work better even without that feature. If you hold a mirror up to the camera to show us, will it still be mirrorless? That's a good one. The camera will be, but anyway, that's funny. I don't have a mirror. If you know what I can do? I'll tell you what I can do. I can put another battery, because I ran the Z50 completely dead. So I'll just put another battery in the Z50 and turn it towards that lens. And this is for you, Ray. The only reason I set up multi-camera is because I know you like it. But there's the 24-70 f2.8 on the Z6 above the monitor. How you doing? How you doing? I actually liked the shot I was getting better with the Z50 than the Z6. So now I'm going to switch back to it. All right, there's the Z50 and the kit lens. Not too shabby. Oh, well, it's almost time for Heather's class to be over, so I'm going to shut this puppy down. I really appreciate everybody hanging out with me this evening. Had a lot of people in and out of the chat. Of course, I understand you can't, you know, I don't know how long I've been live, but it seems like a long time, and people have other things to do, you know. So if you did stop by even for just a little while, or if you stayed for the whole time, either of those, I really appreciate it. Appreciate all the chatting. Kept me entertained for the night. 91 minutes, Ray says. That's awesome. Everybody, if you're still here and haven't hit thumbs up yet, do that. Really enjoyed all the questions and answers. Love the live streams, Phil. Got to run later, everyone. Enjoyed the show, Phil. Thanks for sharing. Thanks a bunch, everybody. Y'all have a great night, and maybe a week from tonight, or maybe a week from last night, I might do this again, at least while Heather's is having classes at night. Thanks a bunch.